What's up? Back with another video. This time we're looking at Ronaldo Gouws, right? So we just dropped recently a video of Willem Petzer who was looking into the utterances Nota made on DJ Sboo's The Hustler's Corner.
A lot of people had tagged me in a clip from a certain podcast, which was probably one of the most vile clips that I had ever seen in my entire life.
Hola Willem! Well, the words are now said, the audience has heard them on both sides, the wave has hit, and now the next thing to happen after such is they're going to the South African Human Rights Commission to report this, or they're going to the police station. This is something that I'm still waiting for. I don't know about you. You out there may be somebody with a short attention span, somebody who likes, flare-ups, peaks and valleys, things appearing, shiny object syndrome. Hey, look at that. What's that? Look over there. And then you are busy turning your head this way and that. But I happen to be somebody slightly different, I'm weird in a way. I've never held a job. I quit or dropped out of UNISA a number of years ago after only a year, and since then I've been a hustler. I've been a self-employed sort of sufficient person with a lot of struggles along the way. Deploying capital and taking risks will show you flames sometimes, so I've managed to survive however I can. And so with all of that, with not working a job and being a self-employed hustler, I am constantly home and I get to watch things much more closely with a bit more scrutiny. I get to watch and say, Mara, this, huh? So there's a bit more discernment that comes from me being a couch potato bum who stays at home. But truly, I can't define myself like that because I'm highly efficient doing what I do here at home. I'm highly capable of a number of nice things. Put me aside. What I'm talking about here is my desire to see the Ronaldo Gouwses, the Make South Africa Great Again, the AfriForums and the Solidarities going to the Human Rights Commission to go and report Nota. And I was startled yesterday when Willem Petzer was going through the video and he said, well, what about the Human Rights Commission? We can go there, however, they probably won't do anything. And I was like, what is this?
But the point I'm going to make here is, will the Human Rights Commission do anything? Sadly, I think the answer to that question is an obvious no.
Why would they do nothing about it? Why are you already getting ahead of yourself? Why are you being a stumbling block to yourself? You have to take this up, and it has to... One thing that I kind of realized, correct me if I'm wrong. You are afraid of setting some kind of precedence. You are trying to not get a certain ball rolling. You are trying not to bring attention to this legal recourse, which is dragging a racist before the principal. What is this? Aren't you a capitalist, bro? Do you not know how to capitalize? Do you not know how to throw a ball into the net? Do you not know how to sink a ball in a hole? Do you not know how to take an opportunity, how to put a puzzle where it fits? What's wrong with you? How can you be making excuses? How can you be deflating yourself and your entire community? How long did you have to actually analyze these ridiculous utterances from Nota Baloyi and come to the conclusion that, nah man, this is not even enough to cut the mustard. This is not even enough to get the South African Human Rights Commission concerned. And with that, now followed posts and tweets, some now from different people. From Ronaldo Gouws, we saw him now jump in about 5 hours ago. He dropped a video. I saw it on Twitter, him saying that the Human Rights Commission will not be doing anything about Nota. And I was like, wait, what, bro? So you are on that tip as well? What is going on here? South Africa is a country, a republic, right at the bottom of Africa over here. But if you've ever looked at or traveled to other countries and you've seen how small we are compared to provinces in other countries, you start realizing, nah man, this place is incredibly small. The players and actors that are known, their voices, is just this small saturated association of people. And with that, you start to see repetitions, I get it, because the gene pool is limited now. There's inbreeding. You're starting to see weirdness. People are starting to sound like each other. You're seeing coincidences there and coincidences there. And you're starting to realize that, no, man, some people are singing from one hymn book. They are organized. So then I started thinking, perhaps these responses coming out of Ronaldo Gouws and first coming out of Willem Petzer himself, I thought perhaps this has been a coordinated response. That's what I thought. Perhaps even way further back, there's more coordination still. Perhaps Nota has gone out to make these insane statements in cahoots with the Willem Petzers and the Ronaldo Gouwses. If you don't know Nota, you think that this is a totally impossible thing. But if you know him, if you know about rap battles, if you know about attention capital, if you know about creating negativity, because that's the emotion that stirs carnal people. Dumb people are moved by hot rubbish. Flaming hot rubbish. They like to consume that in a very big hurry. So Nota is an engineer in his mind. I don't know what is happening with the music because he's a music entrepreneur. He's a producer, record label executive. He's been in high places. He's made stars out of people. He's the real deal. He's capable of all of those things in the music industry. His record speaks for himself. However, I don't know what he's been doing with that lately. And like many people's journeys here on earth, we just saw with Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. I think I also just saw with Ernst Roods. He has stepped down from Solidarity and walking away from AfriForum or something like that. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi just previously walked away from the EFF. And I was questioning what direction he would be going towards because life doesn't stop. You have to go from something towards something else. And so if the music is not really hitting, I'm not seeing Nota bragging about any new music, any new hits, any big things in the past 3 years. Perhaps he could make a pivot. Perhaps he has made one to politics. Perhaps he has reached out to some people in the political space and he said, yo, man, there's a huge opportunity here. There's an Elon Musk out there. There's a possibility to get a moment of his attention, you know, a click of his thumb, a retweet or something, you know. Could the two of us, you know, perhaps coordinate? Could I bring some skills from the music industry and we conspire behind the room to, you know, create some outrage, which you then stop and block on the other end and you know, snuff it out and you declare it over yourself. My man, if I was to properly meet an unknown person, or let's say I was prominent, but not like Nota. Let's say I was a famous celebrity with some talent or something. But while I'm a celebrity, I had an opinion. I had a mouth that speaks. I had the ability to call out injustice. You know, something different to Trevor Noah. We've seen Trevor Noah completely silent. It seems that he's been bored. He's not able to say anything about what is currently happening in South Africa, or he's weighing his options. He's got his CVs out and about. He might get a gig perhaps in Australia. He might get one in the UK, perhaps something else in the United States. So he's trying not to close his channels. But if I was a celebrity, if I was somebody well known for something and I made these statements, people would be pursuing to cancel me. There would be no white people angry at me and then statements like these coming from their leaders saying, you know, the horse has left, man. He spoke about us. He said a whole bunch of shit about us and, you know, there's nothing we can really do. There would never be such. I would be getting lynched. The people who have an opportunity to prosecute me would not be the ones also staging my defense, already stating that the Human Rights Commission will not take this. If I was being held accountable for these statements, people would not be so weak. I'd be properly getting lynched. But with Nota, there's something strange going on, man. You know, when there's a stunt in a movie where there's about to be a fire, they always have a fire truck just parked right outside. Let's say here's the frame right here. This is the frame where the action takes place. The fire truck will be just right here. Right here. Right here. The fire truck will be right there. It seems like there's a stunt over here. A fire has been caused, a controlled one, and now it's been snuffed out by the people who are the victims of this fire and also the arsonists behind it. Oh, weirdness. Oh, Lord. I'm just gonna go straight. We're gonna listen to Ronaldo from start to finish if we can, because I ain't got a lot of space on that camera over there. This is like 22 minutes to go, and Ronaldo Gouws' video is 18 minutes roughly, so I'm not gonna be commenting too much. Let's get into it.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Ronaldo here. So this video is going to focus on the double standards of the South African Human Rights Commission.
Not on Nota. This video is not going to be focusing on Nota and his utterances. You're not going to be giving like a worthy exposition on this subject. Weren't you supposed to be an MP? But something happened. Some utterances of yours came out and you got in trouble and you lost your job before it even started. Or perhaps you still hold your job, still hold your salary. I don't know what's going on. But Ronaldo, you're going to talk about double standards, not Nota. As somebody who should have been an MP, your voice, justice for reason, separating wheat from the chaff, you're going to be analyzing what here?
Just for full disclosure, I am currently being taken to the Equality Court by the South African Human Rights Commission. And the reason for that is for a 14-year-old video in which I used the hyperbole to speak out against kill the boer, kill the farmer. However, the same Human Rights Commission that is a Chapter 9 institution that is funded by taxpayers are not adhering to equality in this country. Now, the reason I say that is because in their own words, they've made it very clear that a white South African and a black South African are not the same in South Africa. Now, if you don't believe me, have a listen to this.
So the Constitutional Court recognizes that our context is not neutral. It recognizes that we have to take into account our past of racial exclusion and marginalization. And it takes into account the fact that who utters the word, the perpetrator, makes a difference, and who receives the insult or the hate speech makes a difference. We have no findings in our law yet about what happens when, for example, a black person calls another black person the K-word. So we simply don't know what the court will decide in an instance like that. But it's clear that the Constitutional Court is of the view that certain words and expressions will depend on whether it's uttered by a white person or a black person and against a white person or a black person.
Yeah, you heard right. So apparently in democratic South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, there's a distinction between a white person saying something and a black person saying something.
Let me ask a stupid question, Ronaldo. There are people who are Jews, and there's countries that respect the Jewish people and recognizes their previous circumstances under the Holocaust and present circumstances in the form of neo-Nazis. I want to ask you something. A Jewish person of Jewish culture and descent and proper heritage and straight unbroken lineage is a Jew. There's a particular hatred and speaking that can be directed towards that person. And I believe that person has a context that would allow them to go and say, I am being discriminated against, particularly on this ground, and the republic or the country, the law here recognizes that such is not okay. Now tell me, if a black person was to go and say, somebody made a Jewish comment towards me and I'd like to sue, or I'm seeking whatever recourse there is, you want to tell me that blanket everybody should just be able to step up as a Jew and say the offenses to me are towards my Jewishness even though it's not there?
I mean, if that is not the most insane, hypocritical thing to say as a Human Rights Commission, then I don't know what to tell you. And then just to further illustrate that point, I mean, we know what has happened with me. So I'm being taken to court because of a video from 14 years ago that was publicly available and was removed by me with an apology about the way that I, conducted myself in an angry manner. But with that being said, I made it very clear that it was a hyperbole and it was to speak out against hate speech from kill the boer, kill the farmer. Now, it's interesting to note that from when an article came out with that video to the Human Rights Commission being at the court, it was 12 hours. So from a snippet of a video, which they didn't have all context, to lodging court papers, it was 12 hours. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a couple of examples of individuals that said stuff in 2024, a year ago, less than a year ago, a couple of months ago. And the South African Human Rights Commission has not done anything against these individuals. So what I want you to know is that I have been taken to the Equality Court by the South African Human Rights Commission for something that was said 14 years ago as a hyperbole and in response to hate speech. And these individuals that I'm about to mention, there has been cases opened by people, or people have lodged complaints against these individuals, and I know because the people forwarded me the receipt by the Human Rights Commission. But as it stands right now, not a single person that I'm about to read or name or mention has been taken to to court, or a case has been opened by the South African Human Rights Commission. All right. So the first.
Help me out of my stupidity, man. Does the Human Rights Commission take up its own cases, or do people go and report? I wanna just know that. Is there reporting or something? I'm just asking for something.
The first person is Obakeng Ramabodu. Now, he's a EFF councillor. He's now currently an MMC. And he said, I want to taste the blood of an Afrikaner. I want to moer a boer. He said that publicly, caught on video, saying that. And the South African Human Rights Commission did not do anything. Then we have Nobontu Mkize from the SABC, you know, the famous I'm an ANC bitch. Now, she said, you're a colored from Mitchell's Plain, all these gold rings but no degree, you don't even have a license, you don't even have a car. And then in another video, she said the only thing that colored people are good for is spreading their legs. Nothing from the South African Human Rights Commission. Nothing. Then we have Busisiwe Mqwebane, who's a former public protector and a former member of parliament for the EFF, that said, my ongoing struggle has consistently involved key figures predominantly of Indian descent who have positioned themselves as my persecutors. So stereotyping Indian people. Nothing has happened. And then the last person, Andile Mletama, who is currently a member of parliament. That individual responded to somebody that said, the only way that you will get me off the land in response to the expropriation without compensation claim is that you'll get that done in a casket. And then Andile Mletama responded by saying, plaasmoord, insinuating that that is the way that he will get that person off a farm, is by committing a farm murder. And I know for a fact that many people lodged a complaint with the South African Human Rights Commission and they just have not responded. So we've got a EFF MMC, nothing has happened. We've got a high-ranking SABC employee, nothing has happened. We've got the former public protector and a former member of parliament, nothing has happened. And we've got a current member of parliament and nothing has happened. Now, the obvious question I've got here, and referencing what the Human Rights Commission said, that there's a difference between a white person uttering something and a black person uttering something. Now, these individuals that I just mentioned now are 4 individuals that are high-ranking black individuals, and the South African Human Rights Commission is staying true to their word by not taking action against these people for saying things in 2024. Yet, a video that I made in 2010 is considered definitely worth it to take me to the the Equality Court by the South African Human Rights Commission.
Ronaldo, personally, man, I think I don't like paperwork and this Roman Dutch justice of going to courts all the time. I think something should be resolved by getting you slapped in the face by community. You know, a few slaps, clap, 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 or the blood of Jesus. You know, you stand, you repent, you speak openly and kindly against your utterances, and you never make excuses. You become a person of incredible valor, very distinct, you know, like Christ on the cross. You just apologize. Other than that, man, this you being taken to courts, paperwork going back and forth, a long time being taken, allowing you to go on this tirade, this halabaloo, possibly even collaborating with Nota to create some content so that you can have more stuffing for your stocking, so I can make it thicker, make a bigger case against the South African Human Rights Commission, to destroy its credibility. Or maybe you are a victim, you are being persecuted. I don't know, man, but let's just keep listening to you. I will test your sincerity. I'm not dismissing you entirely. You could be a good dude who said some effed up shit way back in the day.
The irony, of course, is that that video was in response to kill the boer, kill the farmer, and to show the insaneness of it, and then using a hyperbole to demonstrate how it would feel if the roles were reversed. And yet, no action by the South African Human Rights Commission that is funded, mind you, by the South African taxpayers. So we have an entity, a Chapter 9 institution that is there to represent every single South African, but yet their actions have clearly shown that they are biased and that they will go to the ends of the earth to keep that bias because they believe that bias is just and fair. Now, a new video has surfaced and it was aired on the 17th of February.
By who?
And it is, I'm just trying to see who it is.
Is it Nota Baloyi? Are you trying to act like you don't quite know who it is? You're just discovering who it is. Let me see his name right on this video. What is it? Let me see here. And are you going to mispronounce his name or struggle to pronounce it? I think the plot is thickening, ladies and gentlemen.
That they've actually got hosted here. I don't even know what the guy's name is. I'll find out, but listen to what this individual has to say about white people. Another question that I've got is, will the South African Human Rights Commission take this person on for what he said here? And please note that this was said in 2025.
Fortunately, savagery is not in our culture. So the problem that South Africans have right now is that we don't understand white people. White people are inferior species to us. We are Homo sapiens.
So that's already hate speech right there.
They've got Neanderthal blood in them. This is the science. And this is not science that was done by black people. It was done by them. You understand?
Okay. I mean...
About Clive W. Lewis, they were eugenicists. They studied this. And they realized that they're inferior to blacks.
Margaret Sanger from the US.
Well, I mean, she was more...
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced Nota to you, right? You should know that this is not just an ordinary person. This is a person with achievements. This is a person with standing in our society in this South Africa. This is a guy with enormous ego, enormous confidence. He has lived in a privileged upbringing. He's a different black guy to the normal black guy. But what's unique and special about him is that although being raised, etc., in the suburbs and having and developing the skills for music and the knowledge for it, and his ADHD, his creativity, Nota is able to reach out and touch and be understood and make cases for arguments in favor, for arguments that can be liked by the average black dude. So you are looking at him and you might be thinking, this is just some ordinary South African out there. No, he's a guy very much loved by the dudes at the bottom, but he's a high up person, and he's sitting next to DJ Spoo on that platform there, who is a very, very, very high up as well. So let Ronaldo Gouws not give you an impression that he's playing this video and he doesn't even know as yet who this guy is. No, this guy is super well known. He's like as known as Andrew Tate, but without that Andrew Tate masculinity. He's sort of pushing a masculinity from, if you are a 90s kid, maybe even 80s as well, but especially the 90s. There was a movie called The New Guy. There's this guy who went to jail, or he's a shy dude, so he goes to a prison or a small short time in jail for a small thing that he did, and there he gets mentored by Eddie Griffin, mentors him into being a tough guy, and he's a skinny white guy. So he then now finds a way or a plan with Eddie Griffin to introduce him to a new school as this tough guy. So he gets delivered to school on the first day from inside of a truck that is delivering him from prison, and so that first fake impression is made, and he now gets to be the tough guy. Nota gives me that sort of masculinity, that skinny guy who'll and scare you. So he's well known, he's outrageous. Don't let Ronaldo Gouws play you.
Blacks.
Margaret Sanger from the US.
Well, I mean, she was more about controlling the birth of blacks.
Time I look at Bill Gates.
Yeah. But the reason why they did
eugenics,
that... Eugenics, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So the waist to hip ratio determines how well a woman is able to give birth. And we've got the highest waist to hip ratio in the world. You know what I mean? Women have got small waists and really big hips or big bums or whatever the case may be. White women cannot carry births the same way black women can.
Yeah, that white ladies, you can't give birth as good as black. I mean, this is insulting both to white and black individuals.
Inferior in that way. Why is it inferior? Because, God said Zalana Nandi, right? So if you're not making babies, your nation is going to get smaller. The white population is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So when you look at the white population shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, for us, it makes no sense to descend into the savagery that they have. Whatever land that they're holding on to, either way, their numbers are dwindling. Whatever leadership that they had is dying out as well. And you know about wealth disappearing after the third generation that is passed down to, So they're on the last generation. We're dealing with the weakest whites that the world has ever seen. And again, I want to explain this so that people don't think that, I'm being racist by saying whites are inferior genetically. We've got...
Let me speed this up a bit. I'm running out of space on camera. 1.5 speed.
Different categories of evolution of apes. You know what I mean? If we're all apes.
Just imagine a white person said this. I mean, this is like a clear indication of what has happened to me with the South African Human Rights Commission. If I had to sit in that chair and say exactly what this person has said, but just in a role reversal, what do you think would have happened within an hour of this going live?
That's what I say when I say Ronaldo. If I had said this, I'd get lynched as well. So he is very much potential to be lynched. Look at him right there. You should put the rope around him straight up and drag him. It's in your hands. But you're doing this dance, bro. Are you scamming us? Ronaldo, are you playing us with Nota and DJ Spoo? Hey, I'm just asking.
The echelon of that. Whites are a step below because they've also got Neanderthal DNA. You know what I mean?
I don't know, based on what evidence, but anyway.
Which is a previous ancestor of ours. So we expect to have Ubuntu, humanity. Unfortunately, by the strictest definition of what a human being is, white people are just below human beings. You are negotiating with an animal.
There we go. You hear that, South African Human Rights Commission? White people are animals now.
A wild dog that you're trying to...
Oh, a wild dog.
You train to be...
Do you only speak with them via YouTube? Could you shoot a video of yourself going to the Human Rights Commission and getting no response? Could you record the no response that you get? Could you take your phone and vlog as you drive there and show us? Put your phone, hide it somewhere in your breast pocket there as you speak to the receptionist and say, "Hi, I'm Ronaldo Gouws. I am victim of this place and I'd like to bring you another fresh meat."
Tamed to be Upopi. You who guards your house. You can never do that. So we're expecting Ubuntu from them. We're like, you stole our land, you butchered our people and everything else, and we just want justice. We're not out for your blood, we're not chopping off your heads, we're not doing anything. Why don't you guys understand that? Why don't you guys have Ubuntu? Why don't you guys have a heart? They don't, because they're incapable of that. You cannot expect the same behavior of a human being that you're expecting of a dog. You understand what I'm saying? Like if a dog chews up your couch, you're not going to beat your dog because he chewed up your couch. You know what I mean? You're going to be like, damn, why didn't I lock the dog somewhere where it can't chew up the couch? So us as black people, we need to now start being smarter. We need to start understanding what we are dealing with. Because we're not dealing with a who. We're dealing with a what. You understand? And when we deal with this what of savages, because that's...
There we go. So we are savages now too.
Their history. Everywhere in the world, white people have gone and progressed. They've progressed because of savagery.
So I'm not going to go any further. I mean, you can clearly see that this is an open and shut case for the South African Human Rights Commission.
It's an open and shut case. So what are you doubting? Let's continue listening.
To the South African Human Rights Commission, will you decide to take this individual on for hate speech? Because there are many examples in this video where white people aren't human, white people are savages, white people are creatures. I mean, and with all due respect, I mean, I know that this guy's not a professor, I mean, look at his face. If this guy had to jump from his ego to his IQ, his face shows what that drop would look like. That is pretty much what is a clear indication of this guy not having a clue what he's talking about. But what is absolutely absurd, once again, is just the double standards of the South African Human Rights Commission when it is in applying and defending human rights. Here's an individual that, what is the viewership on this? It has received 30,000 views, and the channel that hosted this individual's got 302,000 subscribers. And there's no outrage. There's no outcry. I mean, remember when that video of mine, the 15 seconds...
Do you want outrage and outcry? Is that what you're calling for? Or do you want justice, paperwork, up and down to the Human Rights Commission? Do you want outrage? Do you want outrage? Perhaps that's what you're looking for. Perhaps that's what Nota has brought new skills to be able to get. Outrage.
Featured on X. Remember what happened on X? Every single media house picked it up. Everybody ran with it. And here is a clear example of somebody in 2025, not 15 years ago, in 2025, saying the most outlandish, racist bullshit. And no single media house is covering it. The Human Rights Commission is still not at the court. With me, within 12 hours, they were at the court. What's going on here? I know that they received complaints. People have sent me evidence of them sending complaints about this video right here and against those 4 individuals that I mentioned earlier. But yet nothing from the South African Human Rights Commission. At what point do we tell the government that we want the Chapter 9 institution that is funded by taxpayers to either start doing their job without fear or favor to any specific race, or the funding needs to end? That was one of the very first things that I said right before I became a member of parliament, was that
you want the South African Human Rights Commission, the referee for race, to be removed. Like something like Elon Musk did for X, free speech, something like that, so that Nota can say more of these things to you and you can say more of them. You sound like an anarchist, my man. You sound like you want total breakout of shit flowing in the streets.
we need to defund the South African Human Rights Commission.
We need to defund the South African Human Rights Commission.
And then magically look what
You're a scammer.
Looked what happened. Now suddenly Ronaldo has to go and appear at the Equality Court. I don't see these two things as not being connected. Clearly, the fact that also US aid provided, I think, between 17 and 20% of the funding for the South African Human Rights Commission. They were very heavily reliant on government funding and taxpayers' funding. And if you're not going to apply human rights equally to everybody, then what is your purpose? Your purpose is then to be somebody that is just enabling the ANC government to do whatever they want to do. You are a puppet then of the South African government and not a supporter and uplifter of human rights for all South Africans in this country.
My media on the card is ending, so this video will just be abruptly cut. I'd like to play this guy as far as possible.
Shame on you for not even wanting to take those 4 individuals to the Equality Court. Shame on you for not responding to what this guy has said about white people in this country. And that is why you are the laughingstock. You're not the laughingstock because I or other individuals are saying that you are not.
This should be an attack on Nota. It's an attack on the Human Rights Commission, and Nota's utterances are only 24 hours old. And there's been 2 statements now, all against the Human Rights Commission.
Applying the law equally. You are the laughingstock because of your actions.
From Ronaldo Gouws and Willem Petzer.
Every single day. And that's pretty much all I got to say. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. Please smash the like button. Please be sure to share this video far and wide. And if you support me and my content, please consider becoming a member. You can do that by clicking the join button below. And that's it. Till later. Cheers and peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes open. Let's critically analyze what the hell is going on in this South Africa. There are people selling fake impressions. And for example, just to end this video, let me show you something. I have put on this shirt and this coat for no freaking reason. I'm actually sitting right here in my shorts. You understand? I put this on just to give you an impression. Perhaps, Ronaldo Gouws, you're only seeing his torso to his head. But you can see that down below, you're dealing with a four-legged beast. You understand? You're dealing with a four-legged beast. A lying beast. Subscribe. I'll see you next time.